Greetings, mobile delegates. I'm Ashley Esqueda, and it's time for your weekly Mobile Nations Monday brief, where I bring you all the news that's fit to print on BlackBerry, the iPhone blog, Android Central, Windows Phone Central, and Pre-Central. This last week, probably one of the craziest weeks in the history of mobile, so let's get into it. First off, of course, we want to talk about Google buying Motorola. That's right, Google purchased or announced their intent to purchase Motorola Mobility for a scant $12.5 billion. That is a lot of droids. So why would Google be interested in buying Motorola? Well, first of all, it's been very successful selling devices, and on top of that, Motorola has a very hefty patent portfolio. Now, what does this mean for our developers and manufacturers like HTC and Samsung and LG and everybody else out there who is a Google partner? Well, Larry Page says that things will be business as usual with Android, but we won't know how things are going to shake out until the deal goes through, which will probably be early next year. I still contend Larry Page bought Motorola Mobility because he hated MotoBlur. Not to be outdone by Android Central, Pre-Central had what could be the saddest news ever. Hewlett-Packard announced that they would be discontinuing all hardware manufacturing for webOS, meaning there will be no more touchpad or other webOS products coming out unless someone licenses webOS. And Pre-Central wasn't thrilled about it and held what seemed to be a funeral to mourn the loss of their beloved operating system. It's a pretty sad and cruel blow to the developers who are hardworking and devoted to webOS, not to mention the people who have defended Palm with their hearts and wallets over the last few years since the original Pre came out. To add salt and rub it into our giant gaping wound in our soul, every single retailer announced a major fire sale on all HP webOS products. The touchpad this weekend was seen for as low as $49 at Staples. Ouch. So what's going to happen now with those webOS refugees, the developers who are looking to find a new home? Well, Daniel and the gang over at Windows Phone Central are hoping they'll consider Windows Phone 7. In fact, Tim Stifler-Dean wrote an incredible article for webOS developers who might be considering coming to Windows Phone 7 for development. He's got device lists. He's got how Windows Phone 7 is like and not like webOS. He's got all kinds of stuff in this great editorial, and I really highly recommend that if you are a webOS refugee looking to find shelter in the aftermath of this terrible disaster, that you check it out. With Mango on its way and Windows Phone 7 proving to be a fresh and up-and-coming user interface and is not Android or iOS, developers might want to take a look at the article, and it might just give Windows Phone 7 the boost that it so badly needs for this holiday season. I'm counting on you, Windows Phone Central Nation. Preach it! Over in the land of BlackBerry, Kevin and the gang are still reeling with excitement over the new BlackBerry 7 devices that were released last week. They have actually got reviews up for you. Check out the reviews on the Bold 9900, the Torch 9810, and the Torch 9860. The Bold 9900 is getting some rave reviews from Kevin and the gang. I believe they gave it a 9 out of 10, which is pretty impressive, and they're calling it one of the best, if not the best, BlackBerry device they've ever used. Compared to Android and Pre-Central's week this last week, the iPhone blog almost seemed boring, except for this little tidbit. The next iPhone might be LTE. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, word on the street is that AT&T and Verizon are installing LTE equipment at major flagship Apple stores all across the country. There's some skepticism as to whether or not this might actually happen, but if I know Steve Jobs, and I think I do, we all know that he's going to show up on a unicorn or a Pegasus with the iPhone 5 LTE in his hand, and at the end of the press conference, he's going to fly away into the night like a magical wizard. The Mobile Nations podcast came back with guns a-blazing this week, and there was a lot to talk about, as we've just covered. So if you're interested in listening to all of the guys and Georgia talk about what happened this last week in mobile, be sure to go to mobilenations.com/shows, and we've also got a lot of other really great podcasts for you. Well, that's it for your Mobile Nations Monday brief. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/mobilenations. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Ashley Esqueda. Nations, you have been briefed.